keeping your opponent at the end of a punch. That's a boxing term, meaning I'm getting full extension on that shot, and that's the maximum amount of power that I can give to an opponent, like that, bam. It's the same mass that's going there because it's my body weight. It's just the speed that gets there, plus the technique, plus the leverage, plus weight transfer, plus how. Morning guys, I hope you're doing well today. Thank you for tuning in. As always, really appreciate it. Shout out to all the subscribers. Gratitude to anybody new. This video is going to be about the mystery of power. It's such a beautiful subject. It's very dear to my heart. Punch technique, power, speed, muscle coordination, technique, all this stuff is something I study closely and have been fascinated by for many years, over a decade I'd say. So I'm gonna bring to you some of the stuff that I've learned over the years. And as you know, this is a channel for beginners, so I want you guys to understand that power is a very mysterious, precious topic, right? But I'm gonna let you know how you can develop your power by the end of the video and give you some pointers, because power isn't necessarily something you should really focus on straight away. You know, it's something that can be misused, can be misunderstood, but at the same time can be extremely valuable for you, the beginner. So by the end of the video, hopefully you have an understanding what power is, where it comes from, and you know how to improve your power. Let's go.
Boxing.
Okay, so first of all, scientifically, what is power? Let's start with some equations. It's force times velocity, right? Now, you don't really need to know this, but what that really means is force, like how fast and how much power and impact can you get onto the target, right? But the velocity is what gets it there, okay? Let me explain. If you have two cars, right? They're both exactly the same weight. Let's just say it's hitting a crash test dummy. One of the cars is going at 5 miles per hour, hits the dummy, nothing really happens. The same car with the same weight hits the dummy at 100 miles an hour, the dummy gets obliterated. What's the difference? Speed, right? That's the velocity. But with punching power in boxing, it's a bit more different than that, because obviously those rules do apply. You know, if I'm throwing a punch like that or like that, then the one like that is obviously going to be more powerful, but it's the same mass that's going there because it's my body weight. It's just the speed that gets there, plus the technique, plus the leverage, plus weight transfer, plus how am I coordinating my body? Muscle coordination, I spoke about that. What does that mean? Well, as a beginner, a lot of times you're going to be very tense, and that's why it's so important to relax, right? So when you are tense like this, you're scrunching up your muscles, it's going to be harder for you to be loose and get that muscle coordination like this, right? But if I'm here, boom, that's muscle coordination, right? And it's the ability to have all your muscles flow in harmony to get better technique. Let's talk about technique. So technique, right? This is the most important thing for you to understand, for you to get better at, for you to get more power, I think, right? Good technique will bring power. And as the video goes on, I'll explain how you can do that and why it's so connected, because, you know, what is good technique? First of all, as I said, good muscle coordination, right? Having good balance, a good stance to start off with, having your transfer of weight run beautifully, meaning the power starts in the foot, okay? And it's called something called a kinetic chain, which is an energy that flows through your body that you have to harness. You have to harness it, and you harness it by getting good technique, right? If I'm here like this and I just throw a punch like that, right? That's not gonna do anything. But if I'm here, all of a sudden I do that, okay, now I'm generating more energy, I'm generating the flow, I'm generating more muscle coordination, thus creating more power, you know? So, but if I'm really flowing here like this, and my shoulders are back here, boom, my fist goes right away through, I turn the punch over, I'm sitting down on the front, the weight is transferred through like that, with a beautiful technique, keeping your opponent at the end of a punch. That's a boxing term, meaning I'm getting full extension on that shot, and that's the maximum amount of power that I can give to an opponent, like that, bam, there's a nice snap. Now that's good technique, and that brings power. Where else does power come from? Let me zoom in quickly. Power comes from leverage, genetics, right? Bone density. There's a lot of mystery around power, hence the video, because, you know, sometimes, quite often in boxing, you know, the muscular, jacked up guys or girls often don't have the power. And I'm not saying they don't all the time, but you know, sometimes you see wiry, skinny guys that are very loose like this, and they can create so much boom shots in, because that's where the speed comes from. A leverage, you get speed. There's technique and power comes with that. But as I said, it's a massive mystery. There's a lot of other components, you know. Obviously your training and your physical conditioning can bring up the power. I did a video on strength and conditioning. I'll leave the link up here, because that can bring, you know, power through, because you're training your technique, you're conditioning power through hitting the heavy bag and repetition. You know, there's so many other components that are just, as I said, a total mystery. But back to technique, and I'm going to show you some more examples of how you, the beginner, can get better technique. What I would do if I were you, right, really work on that stance, work on getting balanced, okay? It depends which punch you're trying to, you know, generate from a core. Understand your connection with the feet and the ground is a vital one. I always talk about that on this channel. And let me just zoom in to get my feet in. You know, the connection that your feet have with the ground is vital, right? So understand that you're using it to spring off of, or just to use to bite down, right? If I'm coming down here and I'm shooting an uppercut or a left hook to the body or whatever it is, I'm literally springing up like this, bang! I did a video on the uppercut just recently where I said you can slip back, drop down here and spring back up to generate power. So if you really wanted to work on your power, get on the heavy bag, right? Stay in one place, because the more you move the feet, the more disconnected your feet are going to be with your hands, and that's going to diminish your power. So stay on the bag right here, work on your technique, work on putting your shoulders through every punch, right? Wow, like that. Work on the snap, work on the turn, work on obviously pushing off a little bit if you need to, because again, it's energy that flows through your body, right? I'll bring up this clip from Natural History. They made a video and it just explains it beautifully, because it's literally the energy flowing through your body. You've got to look at it as like this special ball that you have to harness, and you harness it with good technique. All right, it takes practice and time, obviously experience, and you will get there at the end. But I wouldn't focus, you know, all your training on power at all. It will come. Some people are naturally born with power, some people are naturally born with speed, but you can develop it, which is why I'm making this video, because I also love talking about it. I really do. I'll probably do another part 2 if this video does quite well, because I'll just, you know, I'll do many more videos on it, because I just love it so much. But yeah, work on understanding that your base and your balance is so important. Having your elbows on the rib cage is going to help with the muscle coordination. It's going to help with technique, right? If I'm out here like that, throwing a punch, it's harder to throw it technically. There's not going to be any weight behind it, right? But if I'm here, boom, that's beautiful power right there. Nice snap, still relaxed, end of the punch, boom, turning the shot, turning my hips. You've got to think of it like, you know, baseball and golf, right? When they drive through like that, their whole hips are going through. Same with baseball. Boom, that's the whole transfer of weight, turning your body, torque. All this adds to power. I'm going to do this bit again, because sometimes the audio drops out. When I start moving around, you know, the audio drops out, and I have to do the thing again, because it's really important. I want you guys to really, you know, well, I was just explaining what this channel is about. My name's Henry. I love teaching beginners. I've been teaching beginners for almost 13 years. I was a beginner. I was a novice. I fought as an amateur. I get, you know, all my information and try to bring it through in a, you know, a simple fashion for you guys, so you can get the best out of yourselves and be the best version that you can possibly be, which is a massive part of the channel. And, you know, hopefully if you have any requests or anything like that, I'm not sure if I've already mentioned that, because as I said, the audio's dropped out, but I wanted to get this bit off. It's really important to me, because my message is that of, you know, improvement, self-improvement. Love yourself, be the best you can be, keep going, be disciplined, you know, all these motivation, you know, all these things that I want to help beginners with, because I went through that, and I'm here for you guys. Anyway, that's it from me. Have a beautiful week. Peace.
Boxing.
On it.